Hi y'all, Walter back at you. Today I was thinking about blade geometry and plane geometry, and what I thought might clear up some things is the angle at which a blade makes contact with your wood. Most planes, I don't care if it's 140 years old, 30 years old, 100 years old, brand new, whatever, most of the planes that you're going to come in contact with are giving you an effective cutting angle of 45 degrees. That's it. That's the standard, that's the norm, and there's really not much you can do about it because that's what you have. Now, this plane is, like I said, about 140 years old. The mouth is wide open. This could be a jack plane. This could be a scrub plane with that large of a mouth. But because it has a chip breaker, it still works as a smoother. This ECE plane, it's their model that they call their gents plane, and I'm sorry, ladies, but that's what they call it. I have a modified blade in here. I use this between my scrub plane and other finishing planes. Now, the interesting thing about this plane and this blade is I don't know what that blade is. I believe it to be high-speed tool steel that has been hardened. I got it in a box of steel. I ground it to shape, put it in there, and I can't seem to dull it. No matter what wood I'm planing, it just goes on forever. But we're talking about blade angle today, and once again, we are at 45 degrees. Bevel down. Okay, so we have the bevel on the bottom. Over here, this is what ECE calls a block plane. Once again, wide open mouth, single iron, single blade, no chip breaker. And I can get very nice cuts in most woods, hard and soft, down to about 1 thou, the original stock blade. This plane is bedded at 50 degrees. It gives you a 50-degree effective cutting angle. So in other words, the top surface of this is also a bevel down. Top surface is where the cutting edge is 50 degrees to the surface of the wood. Now, onto your standard Stanley Bailey patent plane, which are all bedded at 45 degrees, bevel down, giving you an effective cutting angle of 45 degrees. Okay? This has a chip breaker. This did not have a chip breaker. This did not have a chip breaker. And this one did have a chip breaker. Now we move on to block planes. True block planes, metal iron body block planes. This is my Lie-Nielsen low angle. The reason for why it's called low angle is because the iron, the blade, is at 12 degrees off the surface of your wood. However, this is a bevel up plane. So as a bevel up plane, you now have to do a little bit of math, because your cutting angle, your effective cutting angle, is the bed angle, 12 degrees, plus your bevel angle, which I keep this one exactly at 25 degrees. No secondary, no additional changes. Now this happens to be a hock iron. We had these hock irons made for the Lie-Nielsens. So, it brings me to question why were block planes made? I mean, Lie-Nielsen makes one, Stanley made them, Record made them. They all make standard angle block planes. That's a 50-degree block plane. This is 12 plus 25. Your effective cutting angle is 37. So, while this one is basically a block plane, it really is a small smoother. It's not a block plane. This is a block plane, low angle, bevel up. So, what's the difference in the geometry? And why would I buy a standard block plane? Well, the only reason I see to buy a standard block plane with a 20-degree bed and a 25-degree bevel up, giving you an effective 45-degree, which is the same as that. The only reason I can think of is just the convenience of having a small one-handed plane that you can kind of put in an apron or put in a tool belt or whatever, as opposed to trying to carry something like this number 3 around, or even a gent's plane, or a larger old-fashioned coffin smoother. So, I personally will not buy a standard block plane. I only buy low angle because I want it for end grain work. I want it for just doing some nice chamfering, taking off the arras. Okay? I want it for the convenience of being able to put in my hand. Now, where you run into problems with a low angle bevel up tool is cranky woods. Curly, bird's eye maple, road woods such as mahogany, where the grain wants to go every which way. Nice thing is, you have the adjustable mouth. Okay, you can open it up for coarse work, or you can bring it down to almost virtually closed for fine cuts. All right, so that gives you chip breaking effect. You can prevent tear out the tighter you make that mouth. But just remember, the tighter you make that mouth, the finer the shaving. But you can get that same thing with a standard block plane. Have I confused you yet? Okay? So, my hands are kind of big for the number 3. However, I do like it for just small work, where a 45-degree cut is perfectly fine. Okay, I like that. I also like my ECE, what they call a block plane, because it is nothing more than a smoother. And the thing I really like about this one is it's bedded at 50 degrees. So I think it's time to make some small block planes at 50, 55, 60 degrees for just having little block planes around. It doesn't take much to make them. So, have I totally confused you? Most planes are bedded at 45 degrees. Your block planes are bedded at 20 and 12, giving you an effective cutting angle of 45 and 37 respectively. Low angle, fine cut, you can get through just about anything you need. Excels at end grain, excels at trimming, excels at dealing with conventional planing that you need to just take that fine little cut off. How you like that? This one's set to hog off wood. I apologize to all of the swine in the world. I don't mean to denigrate the hogs, but basically it hogs off wood. And then my little block plane, which is a little higher angle, so it can handle some more cranky woods. Hope this brings a little bit of perspective into your cutting angles and why certain planes will behave the way they do. If you find yourself with a low angle that's digging in, there's three solutions. One, if it's adjustable, close the mouth up. Close it as tight as you can get it. Two, which should have really been number one, just make sure your blade's absolutely positively sharp and honed precisely at 25 degrees. Don't go any higher, don't go any lower. 25 and 12 is 37, that's a good number. Okay? And the third solution is if you're dealing with cranky woods, you can put a secondary bevel on this at a higher angle, which will get you above the 45 degree cutting angle. So you could take it at 33 degrees, which gives you 45. You take it at 38, which gives you 50. You take it at 43, which gives you 55. So you can change the angle on this and gives you, this is a very versatile tool. But I guess really the main reason for this video was why buy a standard angle block plane when all that gives you is a 45 degree cut. Low angle block plane, standard angle bench plane, and that'll get you where you need to go. So that's it for today. Have fun making shavings. I know I do. Just think, 140 years old, made in England, sharpened by some guy in his workshop in 2017, working, doing the same work it was intended 140 years ago. They're not going to say that about CNC. They're not going to say that about your saw stops and your other machines that are not going to survive. But as long as these tools are kept warm and dry, they will last and do their task the same as they were the day they were made. over and over. That's it. Over and out.